everyone. We are back with the Cars Casually gang from C. We are here with Paulo, with Nix, with Chris, and with G. And today, well, first of all, we're going to tell you something new, which is we are on Spotify. And it's not it's actually not as something we really want to show you, but Chris won't let us. It's hilarious. It deserves its own channel. Someday you'll see it. But anyway, no, we're there because we have been answering the requests of people to put Cars Casually in a car where you can't watch YouTube, right? So we now have that. So very cool. Thank you very much for requesting it and for everyone that helped us. Okay, anyway, so today we are talking about something new again, the Geely Okavango. It was a car that we have been discussing a little bit, and now we've actually driven it. Well, we actually did drive it, but we drove it a little bit more now, and it's quite interesting. And we threw it at young Paulo because actually, you know why? Because it has a bed in the back, and he's single.
Wait. Bed at the back? As in...
Paulo will explain this. Yeah. Paulo will explain this.
Later
and then
on.
he will explain why. He will have to explain why the look on his face made them change their mind about giving him the bed. So there. Anyway, okay. So, without further ado, let's go to Paulo. Tell us about the Geely Okavango.
So the Geely Okavango is the third and the newest addition to Geely Philippines lineup. So it's the third crossover. Next, it slots in between the Coolray subcompact crossover and the Azcara midsize crossover. It's a 7-seater, and one of the more interesting things about it is that it has a mild hybrid system. So Carl and I had it for about a week. We were able to drive it around the city and all.
Which variant did you have? Which variant?
I got the Urban.
The top of the line.
And it's priced at 1,328,000. Yeah.
You know, it's really interesting. That shot makes it look very large and very SUV-like.
Yeah,
but if you see it, it's a good shot. But it just because when we first saw it, we saw it compared to things like the Innova, but also the Fortuner. So it was very confusing in the beginning, but then it kind of slotted in. That's a nice shot. And that's a nice color too.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what's the importance of this car? What's the importance of this car for Geely?
It's a bit of a unicorn. Similar to how I found the Peugeot 3008 from a few weeks back. Because they call it a crossover, but it can also be called an MPV or maybe also an SUV. It's really a unicorn because in terms of the shape, the length of the car, it looks a lot like an MPV or like a compact rear.
Yeah.
Right. But inside, in terms of the size, it feels like an SUV. Not in terms of height, but the space. But the space, yeah. In terms of and then in terms of ride height, it goes back to feeling like an MPV.
Galing, huh? That's it.
Yes.
Because like when you look at MPVs, like when you're inside it, it's like you're in an MPV.
Mm-hmm.
But for you to say outside it looks more MPV, but when you hop inside, it feels SUV. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In terms of the relevance of the car, it seemed really versatile. It's something that can provide comfort to passengers. But if you look at the back, I'll show you the back later when you talk about the interior. It folds flat. And then one of the more interesting things about it is that the second row, it's not a bench type. There are 3 separate seats.
3 separate seats.
So you can,
Yeah.
So
but
it looks like a bench. Like when it's all deployed,
Yes.
It looks like a bench.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting.
In terms of exterior, like all the lights are in LED. So you see the DRLs there, the fog lamps, the headlights, and the rear lights. They're all in LEDs. Yeah. So it was nice to have it at night.
Because
And
usually mid-size SUV or even MPVs, you can only get the LEDs on the highest trim. Does it follow the case here also?
Yes, yeah. Oh, wait.
Well, this is the highest trim, right? It's
This is the highest trim.
model. Yeah.
the highest trim.
This is
Yeah,
highest
so
trim.
the headlamps, regardless of the variant, it's in the highest trim, but only the highest trim has the auto headlamp control.
Ah,
But in terms of like
Okay.
all of them
all
are
variants have
LEDs. Yeah,
DRLs and LED fog lights.
cool.
So there's no difference basically.
They're all LED, but the highest
Yeah.
trim has the
Auto
autofocus.
attempts. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And then you
That's
can see
impressive.
from the front, it has that, the Geely design language. You can see it in the grille, the way the
expanding
headlights are shaped.
cosmos. Yeah.
Yeah. It's similar to the Ascara and the Coolray.
The
So it's
family
nice to
face.
see, that there are some similarities.
It's actually interesting because this kind of slots the three vehicles we just discussed from Geely are actually they're not that far from each other in terms of price, and they're not that far from each other in terms of power plant. So it's really interesting that they've taken this attitude that I mean within a very relatively tight price range,
Mhm.
you have three very different choices, and it really comes down to which one you would like. If you want the 7-seater, this is really the only choice. If you want the more luxurious one, the Ascara.
Ascara.
Or if you want
Yeah.
the more young, hip, flexible one,
Sporty.
non-Tito car one,
Yeah.
or the hip one, as Paulo says, then it's the Coolray. It's really interesting because they're all within striking distance of each other.
They are
Right.
price wise.
Yeah.
They're totally different cars, but price wise, they're in striking distance. That's a good way to put it.
Yep.
Striking distance sounds like a fight.
Yeah.
Well, it's,
So how do you like the exterior? How did you
the-
find it?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm half and half with it because it on some angles it looks to me to be a little too MPV like in
Here.
some ways. But if I change the that does not look like an MPV to me at all. Okay, from this angle, it looks like a nice SUV with kind of a thick rear pillar. I really like the shot you had
Because-
before.
Yeah.
But-
Because it was a shot from the ground. So
Yeah.
Yes, and I like this one as well. And if you take this and you don't put it beside other cars, and you don't get the scale, then it's actually a nice looking car. This is okay here. This one I don't like this angle as much. I think it's because it looks a little bit rear heavy to me, whereas from the side straight on, I just really really liked it.
Chris, I have a question for you.
What's up?
You having tested a good amount of Volvos and being around Volvos, what do you think of the design of the Geely Okavango?
I wouldn't say I've been around a lot of Volvos,
Eh,
but
No, but we tested the XC60 and 90, diba? Like,
but
what's your impression?
I think Geely has managed to, in terms of styling, exterior styling at least, I think Geely has managed to create a unique identity for themselves, separate from the Volvo brand. I think it's more inside where we see little bits of Volvo here and there, which is why I'm excited to see what the inside looks like. But exterior, right? It looks like it looks like Geely has managed to create their own identity.
Yeah,
And it looks
They
actually,
do it so well, no?
Yeah.
Yep.
no,
Yep.
they did, and they did it in a way that's not overly funky, or
Paolo,
overly.
can you go back to the rear 3/4?
okay.
The rear 3/4. That's the one Carl didn't like, right? That's the one he didn't like so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Because I on the other hand, I really like it. It's clean, especially the rear tail light lining up with the handle, and I find it so clean and so nice. And there's a lot of
not
real
my
estate
favorite.
on the rear window. Yeah.
I'm curious why there's a confusion between if this is an SUV or an MPV because to me it looks like an SUV. I mean,
Same.
there's
You
no
know why? You know why there is? It's because I think they actually want that. And it's the same discussion we had with, it's actually Paulo, I think, that brought it up, and you guys have brought this up. This car fits different levels, and I didn't realize that at the time when they showed us this car, and they had both Innovas and Montero Sports in the mix. I'm like, why do you have both these cars? Now I understand it. This is a car that kind of can tap both.
Yeah. No, but
you know,
what I meant was
Yeah.
in terms of styling. In terms of styling, doesn't it?
It looks
Where
SUV.
does the MPV come in?
okay, if I look at it in a certain to me at this angle, that's where I get MPV. And I'm not negative to MPVs. I actually like
Yeah.
a lot of them.
Wait,
Mhm.
let me get my glasses.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that
Get
yeah,
my
because I
glasses.
because
No, because I mean, like we are we
No, I
are in
want to
a
discuss Nick's
time
glasses. Sorry.
we are in a
Really
time
bad.
when lines are being blurred, right, between
Yeah.
MPV and
Yeah,
SUV.
yeah. Yep.
Including like for example Honda BRV. Honda's BRV, what they call a 7-seater SUV. I mean what they call a
Yeah.
7-seater SUV, but not everyone would agree.
Mhm.
So would you say that the Okavango is kind of straddling the same line between MPV and SUV? Because to me it looks fully SUV. So I'm
Yeah.
curious to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely bulkier than the BRV, but I would say that's a good comparison. In
Mm.
terms of like looking the
Okay.
car from the
Well,
sideways, in terms of the
Yeah.
length.
I'm guessing this is also a lot bigger than the BRV.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely,
Mm,
But I
definitely.
yeah.
think it's
Yep.
more in proportions. I think it's the proportions game that makes it like MPV or SUV.
For me, it was a
But
design issue. It was to me, honestly, it was that
mm,
rear quarter, that last pillar. That just,
Dito.
yeah, to me, it's I don't know. It didn't work for me. But having said that, I actually really liked the car, right? So it would be a non-issue for me in terms of getting the car. It's just that
Mhm.
I like the look of the other of the Ascara and the Coolray
Mhm.
better. That's all.
how did
Yeah.
it drive though? How did it drive?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this car has a 1.5 liter turbocharged three-cylinder gasoline engine, and it's mated to a 7-speed wet dual clutch transmission.
Okay, did you say
And
1.3 liter? It's a
1.5.
1.5,
1.5,
right?
1.5.
1.5
1.5.
with a
The
three-cylinder.
three cylinder.
It's
Okay,
the
okay.
same basic power plant,
Yes, as
Yeah.
the
right?
Of
cool
Yeah.
rain the
of
Ascara.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although this one has a mild hybrid system, similar to the Ascara.
Mhm.
There's a difference. Like we know hybrids as a supplement to internal combustion engine. Like with the Toyotas, when the when the ice turns off, the electric motor does its thing. But for this one, the gasoline engine is always on.
Mhm.
So the mild hybrid system just
Ah,
helps the gasoline engine in terms of adding more power and making it more efficient.
yeah.
Boost.
It's similar to the one on the Honda CRZ where it 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 doesn't
Assistance.
alternate per se. Yeah, it's more of an
Yep.
assist.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's okay. Go into this quickly. The whole point of this is they're trying to get engines to do more out of less. So the three-cylinder, 1.5 liter engine that's already turbocharged, that presents a huge amount of torque issues, lag issues potentially. So
Yes.
that is all
Mm.
addressed with things like number one, a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, and number two, the mild hybrid. That those two things can help support and also alleviate any issues that come in. And everybody's moving to this kind of engine size, and there are a lot of
Mhm.
packaging safety issues and reasons for this.
Yep.
But they're
Yeah.
also all trying to solve these issues of too much peakiness on one side,
Okay.
uh, you know, too much sloshiness on the transmission on the other side.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's all a different. They all have these different ways of doing it. I applaud the fact that Geely is using a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, and we all know that there are some horrible dual clutches out there. This is not one of them. It's great, and Geely, as we have said repeatedly, they're building the biggest darn transmission factory in the world, right? They're going to supply
Yeah.
everybody.
Mm.
So this is the way it's going to go. I think that the way this car drove, which we all generally liked, is really a function of all these little things that they're doing to adjust the fact that they need to work with smaller engines. So,
Okay. I have a question. Okay. Because I haven't driven the Okavango, but I've driven the other two. On the Geely Coolray, I really liked it because the
Geely,
power plant. Yeah, Geely. My car.
Geely.
G as in G.
As in
Okay.
Gerard. G.
Gerard.
Gerard.
G. Oo nga. Okay, but okay, going back. I apologize, Geely. I apologize. Okay, but going back. So the Geely Coolray, what I really liked about it was that its power plant and transmission worked well for a light car. And then when I tried the Geely Ascara, like what I said in my review, it was good, but the engine and the hybrid system only felt enough for me. Like it was just enough. It wasn't like I wouldn't fill it with people or with cargo. And that was my worry, like with this car, the Okavango. Like if the power felt just enough or felt naman more than enough.
Next,
Well,
I kind of felt the same way because this car
Okay,
has
yeah.
three driving modes. It has comfort, which is normal, eco, and sport. In times that I had to overtake, do a bit of acceleration, I couldn't help but switching to sport mode. It just
Mhm.
helped me
Yeah.
accelerate better. So I
Yeah.
think I get
That's
what you mean with the Ascara.
yeah, that
But
was like my
yeah.
not a bad issue, but it was something to take
Mhm.
note of.
Mhm. But I
okay,
had the same
let me
thought.
just
Maybe it
say
would be
that when
perfect for
Paulo
the
drove
Coolray.
up to me, the wheels were spinning.
Coolray. Okay.
In
Yeah.
this car, when he came up to me, he went over a patch of wet leaves, and the car came up to me spinning. So yeah, there's some power there,
Yeah.
and it happened
Yeah.
again,
Okay.
right? It happened again. We turned the
Yeah, it
corner.
happened
I hit the
twice.
gas,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and we got some good forward movement going.
It's front wheel drive, right?
Yeah.
It's front
Yeah,
wheel drive.
it
Yeah.
is. Front wheel drive.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's the whole weight. Once you to
Yeah.
explain it, once you accelerate on a front wheel drive, the weight goes to the rear, the front gets a little bit light. So by nature, yes, front wheel drives will spin the wheels a little bit more quickly on
Mm.
acceleration and around a corner than a rear wheel drive will, in general, with less power. So, but no, my thoughts on it are, yeah, it could have used more power. But having said that, for what it was, I was not. Well, okay, there were power ranges where yeah, I could have used more power, and then I did go into sport
Yeah.
and so on. But in general, I was pretty happy with it. I don't know
Yeah.
how it would be if I loaded it up with stuff. And
Mm.
thanks
Yeah.
to Nick's and this whole I want to go camping thing I'm on now. I wanted to load it up with stuff, right?
Okay.
I don't know how well it would handle that and still be as frisky. I have no issues that in terms of I think it will be competent, no question.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm not
It's
going
not
to
a
run
bad
it
thing.
screaming on the highway.
Yeah, yeah. Cause in that case, I think the strategy of Geely or at least Geely Philippines was in having the same engine for all cars. It's easier to service parts wise, mechanics wise, because the mechanics will know the same engine. So I think
Mm.
it might have been a strategy which I think will pay off in the future.
And it
But
also
something
has
to
to
take
do
note.
with tax breaks for the size of
Hmm.
engine between China and ASEAN.
That's true.
So yeah.
Yes.
Please explain, Gerard.
Um.
G.
Yeah.
Geely.
Okay. Engine size 1.5 and below are given tax breaks or even tax exemptions if they come from China, because there's an agreement between China and the ASEAN region, the
Hmm.
free trade agreement. So there, it's something like the one that the Philippines has with Japan, wherein 3-liter engines and below are exempt. That's why, if you notice, the Lexus vehicles are priced a lot lower than the European counterparts, even if they have
Yeah.
more, yeah, yeah, more
Because of
specs and
that
yeah,
one.
more
Yeah.
features. Yes, yeah,
I have a question. In that that ruling that
yeah.
ruling
An
exception,
agreement. Yep.
the agreement, does it matter if it's inline 3 or inline 4?
That I'm not sure. All I know
Okay,
is
no, it's
the
okay. It's okay.
displacement. Yeah, the
In
displacement.
general, no, because they're defining it based on engine
Displacement.
size,
Yes,
Yeah.
displacement. Yeah.
Just curious.
and the configuration is not a function of size.
Yes, yes.
So in general, no.
Okay.
What did we like about this car, Paulo? What was it? What was it that stood out?
For me,
We were having this discussion,
best
right?
part. Yeah.
Yeah.
the best part for me is definitely the interior. Like aside from the exterior. So let me show you a quick picture.
I'm
Now
curious
I
though.
haven't yeah I haven't
No, no, go ahead.
driven the other two Geelys, but based on what Carl said before and from what I know, what I've seen in pictures, it follows at the same design language on the interior with the rectangular shapes and those silver accents. Were you saying it's similar to how the Ascara is? Uh, but I know the
Ascara, wait.
Ascara has a more premium interior. Like it has Napa leather.
Napa
It
leather,
has, I
yeah.
think, like
Ventilated
Okay,
brown
I
seats.
seats.
okay.
Actually,
Yeah.
Paolo, you're in the perfect position having not driven the other two Geelys, because a lot of people who are gonna buy this and a lot of people who are looking for this will not have driven the other Geelys. So you're actually in a great spot. Like you're not tainted by any of us, any of our opinions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, from you, like as a first time Geely driver coming into the Okavango, what did you think of it before we give our own impressions?
Yeah.
Yeah, what did you think of it as a first
The
time GD driver?
Yeah. My first thought was it's very pleasant and plush. At 1.3 million, this slots in right above some of the compact carriers, some of the higher variance MPVs, and I would say it's one of the better ones because, for one, it has leather seats for all. It has soft touch
All.
material for the sidings, uh, for the dashboard, and I like how they put in the silver accents with a bit some gloss black on the gear lever. Like I know some of us aren't really fans of gloss black, but I like how they integrated it on this one, and I like the selector of the driving impressions. It feels more like in the mid-size crossover kind of interior feel.
Paulo, can you clarify? You had said power seats for all. You
Uh,
meant
Leather, I
Leather
think.
leather seats for
Sorry,
leather seats.
Leather
leather
seats.
seats.
Okay, leather
Yeah,
seats for all.
but
But the two front seats did have both had power.
yes, they both have
Right.
power seats.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Usually
No,
it's
I
only
did.
one.
No, we're not. That's the thing. That's what
At
marketing wise
1.3.
they should be more clear when they say power seats. Like no power seat, right? So
Yeah.
no, in this
Or
case, this
driver's
car
seat,
has it.
power driver's
Yeah.
seat.
So great.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
Um,
that's
Cool.
pretty
in terms of
impressive.
infotainment, it has a 10-inch display. You can see here. I'll get a bigger picture. It
So
doesn't
it's the
have
same one.
Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Mhm.
T-Link
Wow.
ba yun or something. It has its proprietary
It's called
connection.
QD Link. QD Link.
There,
Yeah.
QD-Link.
And one of the
Which-
more interesting parts about the infotainment system are the camera angles. I mean, that's what I've always seen in the cool race and in your reviews and everything.
Yeah.
So I was pretty excited about that. So it had the 360 view with the car on top, and it also has a 3D view of the car.
Did it
And
feel
then it has-
accurate?
It felt accurate.
Oh, we used it
okay.
immediately.
Yeah,
Okay, kasi
we checked
We
out
actually had to
the
run through this pretty tight thing, and we're like,
Okay,
"Oh, that's
interesting.
useful."
Because the Cool Ray was really accurate. The Cool Ray, when I was testing it, and then when I went to the Geely Ascara, it felt less accurate. So it's nice to hear that this one's I think maybe they tuned it or something, or made sure like the angles were better. Okay,
here.
nice.
Like
Okay,
I've
yeah.
seen this kind of feature in other cars before, where there's a 3D figure of the car, and with those cars, I had a bit of trouble using it because it was so distorted.
Yeah.
But for this one, it was much more manageable.
Yeah. And just for the viewers or listeners out there, you can actually move the perspective around, the 3D perspective. Because others, they say 3D, but it's fixed. This one's you can actually move the camera around, which is a big plus.
And one more thing I liked about the interior, aside from the materials they used, is the second row. So usually we would have like a bench type with a 60-40 split.
Or
But for
captain.
this one,
Yeah.
it had three separate seats for the 3 passengers on the second row.
Wow, 3.
Mhm.
It splits
Do
3
they
ways.
do those
Oh,
seats
okay.
recline or?
Oh,
They also recline, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it helps if you like depending on like
Yeah.
the kind of cargo you'll put, you can just
Yeah.
pull down one, or you can even
Yeah.
pull down the middle.
hmm For
This
longer
might be the
items.
most
Yeah.
versatile,
And
like in
and
its size
then
class.
two questions. How's the third row space? And then is there space enough behind the third row for
Okay, let me get you a picture of the with the third row up
Mhm.
here. In terms of the leg room on the third row, I had my siblings ride it
Okay.
on one of the days,
Mhm.
and because in the family we also have like an older Montero, the last generation Montero, and
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
and the
okay.
2010 Innova. So they would
Mhm.
also sit on the
Third
third
row.
row.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I'm not sure if it's fair to compare the older models to this, they found it a lot more comfortable in terms of space. For
Okay.
one,
Okay. Okay.
the leg room definitely is bigger.
Better. Yeah.
And then I kept reiterating to Carl, the headroom for the Okavango was really like
I
excellent.
know it
Mhm.
was.
The headroom, yeah. So it helped. Like
Do you have
it's
a
not just the
shot of the
leg
third
room.
row?
Let me get this.
Like from the other, like if there's another angle.
Yeah.
That's the
Max
thing,
headroom.
kasi,
Who
di
remembers
ba,
max headroom?
yeah, they position it as
Nobody.
SUV/MPV. So that hence my question, because MPVs normally have better third row accommodations.
Yeah, but
So,
because by design, like they don't make the back sweep down so that
mm,
allows them for the third row to have good headroom.
yeah.
Generally. Uh,
So,
okay.
I don't think-
He's looking for the
You
photo.
don't
No,
you don't have the
Yeah.
photo, do you?
I have no. I have no, no.
But
I have a question
I found an
about the
interesting
second row.
angle.
Okay.
Okay.
Show us this interesting angle. And it's the
So
one with the bed there. I'm like,
yeah, you don't have to fold the whole seat of the second row to get in.
Ah,
So you can just do this.
oh,
That's what's yeah. You
okay.
just
okay.
have to pull a lever.
That is
Yeah.
a plus
Yeah.
and a minus for me. That's a plus
How
and
is
a
it the
minus.
minus?
You can fit there
like,
now, Nix.
yes,
It
well,
shouldn't be a minus for you anymore.
no,
I think you could
yeah,
fit here next.
no. Minus being, I like cars that you can fold it all the way, like it's like parang folded and then standing. Is
Ah,
so
Mhm.
that if you need like deep cargo space, a deep cavity na cargo space, you can utilize it. This one you can't anymore.
No, but you just
So
fold it flat. I don't get it. I don't
no,
get
no.
your. This is
Shit. How do
just to
I
enter
describe?
the. This is just to
No,
enter the back.
it's not for entering. It's for cargo capacity.
Yeah, but then you fold
Kasi
it flat.
Let me grab
no,
it.
no, no. If you fold it up, you end up with a deeper cavity on the second row.
You
Yeah,
mean a
Nix is
If
cavity
talking
in
you,
the
about
low?
Nix is talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
carrying tall things.
Okay,
yes.
okay, okay,
okay.
okay. So you're talking
Like
about height.
that's why
Yeah.
height. So like parang the best example, I don't have a photo, but the best example is the Jazz. You can fold the second row like
And it
up
tumbles
resting
forward.
against.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
there
But
tumbles
then
forward.
what? Okay, what you
It's
lose
fold and
there
tumble,
is
basically.
so
Yeah.
what you lose there is the flat. No, you still have the
Flat.
No,
flat
no.
with it.
Yeah, you
Okay, okay, got
exactly
it.
is okay.
Okay, okay, I
No,
see.
but this one though, it looks easier because also that's why it's a pro na con because when you have the tumbling system, so it just there's more room for error, more room for difficulty. So you can see when they were designing this that it's more passenger oriented
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
because it's a lot
Yeah.
easier to get into the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's actually a good amount
So
of
just
space. Um,
yeah.
see now that I have a driver, named Paulo. No, so I actually get. I actually no. Okay, the point is I never get in the back of these cars, right? So people ask me
Yeah.
like I have no idea what the back of this car is like. So now Paulo makes sure I go from the front seat to the back seat, and like wow.
Just
So
good.
yeah, there's actually a
Yeah,
fair amount
which
of
is
space.
good.
Yeah. It was nice. It was comfortable. The three seats in the back were nice. They were comfortable. There was a lot of space. Given how where he and I sat, was fine.
Okay, interesting. Okay, but yeah, so you can see it's versatile naman for cargo space, but you can see it's like trying to aim more for passengers, which is good.
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So taking aside the fact that they didn't allow Paulo to bring the bed home, Who
Wait,
is
what
this
bed
car
is this?
for, Paolo? Okay,
Wait,
there's an
what is this
inflatable.
bed?
There is
Yeah.
an inflatable bed that fits perfectly into the back of this car.
And
Yeah.
it
With
comes
all-
with the
all
car.
yeah.
I know
It comes with
it's
the car.
you buy it
No, you
separately from Geely.
okay. Right
Okay.
now, it's not an available option. It depends. If people like it, they will obviously support that. It's made to take advantage of all the little drops and whatever. So it actually is a very flat inflatable bed. It comes with its own compressor. They were going to give it to Paulo, and then they saw the look on his face, and it wasn't in the car when we left.
Maybe not.
So,
Maybe not,
I don't know.
maybe
But
not.
anyway, okay. But having said all that, we're really just teasing Paulo. He's a gentleman in every way, shape, and form. Um, which, sorry. Okay.
Bye, guys.
Paulo,
Bye,
who is,
guys.
who is this for, though? Who
Okay,
is this?
this car is for would fit perfectly for like a family who wants to be practical in terms of the number of people they can take in and the amount of cargo they can put. But they also want something that feels more premium with up-to-date technology and the system and the construction of the interior. It feels a lot more pleasant than probably its main competitors. But yeah,
No, I agree
like,
with
it can also be it can
Okay,
also be
Paolo,
like, you know, a Barcada
You're the
car.
perfect person to ask. What would be the difference between this and a G50?
I was gonna
Okay.
ask the same question. I was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
ask that same question.
Exactly.
Okay. Because in the G50, as soon as I got in the car, it felt a lot more like a minivan to me.
Mhm.
Although they were always marketing it as an MPV, as to rival the Innova. But the whole time we had it, I kept telling Carl and Nix, like, it feels more like an MPV. Sorry, as a minivan,
Minivan,
Minivan.
yeah.
without the
yeah.
sliding doors, right? But
Mm.
for this one, I didn't get that feeling at all. I thought I was gonna when I first saw the car, but when I got in the car, it felt more like a unicorn, like a morph between an MPV and a crossover.
Okay, so basically it's driving feel. That's the
Yes, the
difference.
driving
Yeah.
feel.
Separated.
But in terms
Mhm.
of space and practicality, would you rate one over the other? Would you say one is better at it than the other?
I'm trying to recall the G50, but
Parang this looks more
this
versatile.
felt,
Am,
this,
am I
this
am I
definitely
wrong?
looks
I
more
felt the
versatile.
G50 was had much more like interior space. That's how I felt. How did you? How? I mean,
I
did the
didn't
numbers?
I didn't get to sit on on the second row seats much for both cars, but in terms of headroom, I felt a lot more space here in the Okavango.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would think the G50 would have I haven't seen the Okavango, but I would think the G50 would have more vertical room because minivan size it has that advantage. I would think,
Yeah, fair
but I
point.
haven't.
Mhm.
That's why
Yeah.
like when we were comparing it with the Innova, it's like that you could the starking difference because it's lower ride height. It's able to maximize the
The
interior
height,
space.
the interior,
Uh,
interior height. Yeah.
It has a
Because
similar ride
they're
height to the G50.
they're priced very very close. The top of the line
mhm.
G50 is
Yes.
1.288 and this one is 1.328, which
So
is
40,000.
not a lot in between them. So
Yeah.
Okay,
a lot of people will be making that decision
yeah, okay.
between
The
these
only
two.
people who drove both cars, Paulo, you drove the G50, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I rode the
Okay.
G50.
I never would have thought of that comparison, but you're completely right. I would, no question, rather drive the Geely on a regular everyday thing.
Yeah.
To me, the G50 is more like a high ace type thing.
Yeah.
Would you say
Yeah.
the G50 is for a bigger family, maybe, or
I, I,
like with
I
with
would.
more grown up kids?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would,
Mhm.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. I think though. Well, Nick's called the utilitarian. I would say that the G50. We're gonna have a problem with this. I would say the G50, not the G50. Um, it's Gerard. No, the G50 has. We're in so much trouble. The G50. It's more utilitarian, and it's more like it's a minivan. It's exactly what Paulo said. It
Minivan.
Yeah.
never would have occurred to me because I think they're completely different vehicles. But you're right; they're
Mhm.
both these vehicles that are kind of in between everything else.
Yep.
Really good question. I
So
drive
who's this
home
car
the
for?
I drive home the Okavango. Me, but reading those two.
Same thoughts. Same
Mhm.
thoughts. Yeah.
Uh,
And I get your
I would
reference.
put it, if I had a driver, I'd get the G50, probably.
Yeah, I was gonna
Mm.
say that
That,
because you
Okay.
you really enjoyed that
But I
part.
have Paulo, right?
Yeah.
Paulo, which one would you rather drive?
Yeah, yeah. Like I remember, like when you were on the second row seat of the G50, you were really impressed. You really liked that.
Yeah.
When we were in the
Yeah,
highway,
and
especially.
in the G50, you can cross your legs on if you're in the
Yeah.
captain's chair.
I think Carl did
That's
that once.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so if I'm gonna be chauffeured, I think I'll be eyeing on the G50, like
Okay.
chauffeur na type. But if I'm gonna be driving every day, this looks promising. We have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. What about comparing this to the other GD
Oh, the
products?
mid-size. Ah.
No, the other
Ooh.
Geelys.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing: what the Geely Ascara and the Geely Coolray, they have blown minds. Like nobody was expecting them to be as good as they
Yeah.
are. And this is
Yeah.
why I asked Paolo for his impression, having not driven the other two. It's because the people who get into the Okavango now, having driven the Coolray and the Ascara, they expect the same mind blowing experience.
Mhm.
But they have to realize that the Coolray is 1.2 m, rounding the numbers up, 1.2, and the Ascara is 1.6 million, and this is 1.3, and bigger than both of them.
Yeah.
So they can't expect the same level of quality, build quality, and
That's true.
materials and
Mm.
interior feel for the price it's being offered at.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, Having said that, I haven't been inside the Okavango, but the Cool Ray and the Ascara are phenomenal inside. Like
Yeah. Their
that's where
interior
you can
quality
really
is
see touches of Volvo. You can see where Geely is getting from the Volvo parts bin. The switches, the leather, the design, the space,
panels.
the
Mm.
panels.
Yep.
Very very high quality, very impressive. I from the pictures I can't tell if it's the same for the Okavango, but I'm sure there are cost cutting measures implemented there somehow. I just don't know if any of them are deal breakers. Um,
Doesn't look like to Carden Paolo.
Okay. I have a question. Okay. I don't have a question. I don't necessarily think that the build quality is going to be that different because of that price range. It's not like you're talking Corolla versus Camry here. You're talking about something that's within 200,000 pesos. I do see that there's a difference in terms of quality of material, but not in terms of build quality, in terms of
Ah,
strength or anything like that. But
hmm.
yeah. Anyway,
okay. No, but something to take note of, and I think maybe that's why they started with the Kudre first, so that really good first impression, and then
You know,
followed by
to put
something.
things in perspective, the top of the line Coolray is only 10,000 pesos cheaper than the base model Okavango.
Mm.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Come to think of it.
So imagine, would you get a top of the line Coolray with all the bells and whistles, or for 10,000 more get a much bigger
There we
Ooh.
car?
go again with that.
oh,
We
Uh,
but
did.
that would
Yeah.
depend. Do you want
yeah.
that third row?
Oh yes.
That
If you
that,
need the
that
third row.
that's the
Well,
thing.
yeah.
It's actually their setup is actually very, very practical. The third row, no question which one you're going to get. Luxury, no question. Fun, sporty, younger, hip, Paolo like, no question.
Let's leave it at that. Paolo, like,
It's really the way they've decided to set these up. I'm
it's
quite impressed
impressive.
with the way they've thought it through. So it's and
Ako,
it's all within the same engine format, the same platform. All of their design and engineering strength is aimed at very few things in this case. It's really smart.
I think someone like Chris will get the Okavango, and someone like me would get the Kudre. You think that's how it's gonna end?
I like the cool ray.
Dude,
I like
that,
Kudre.
that
I
was
don't
a
know. I
fantastic.
like my toys.
Okay,
you-
vote.
you
So
all-
which, Chris? Which one then?
No, I mean I like my toys, but I mean like I gotta be practical, right? So I would go with the Okavango. Actually, I was really interested in the Okavango because that's exactly the kind of car that I
Car.
would buy for myself because
Yeah.
it's a lot more affordable than an Innova. It doesn't look like an MPV, at least to me. It's big enough to carry my family and all their stuff. So this seems like it's in a position in the market that not a lot of other cars are in, given its
Yeah.
size and what it does, and its price, obviously. So
Mm.
yeah,
So
um,
Chris, Okavango, Nick's what?
yeah.
Yeah, ako since I'm
Hilux.
single,
Hilux.
No.
Forever
Within the
Hilux.
Geely, within the Geely platform.
second
Within
hand
the Geely
Hilux.
platform.
No,
Still
yeah,
Hilux.
I'll find a way. The Geely Hilux. No, Cool Ray definitely Cool Ray because it's just fantastic to drive because it's a strong engine on a small car. Simple
Okay,
as
Gerard.
Honestly, I'm torn between the two, but the practical side of me would definitely go with the Okavango because
Come on, Jared.
No,
Come
seriously,
on.
you get-
I know you want Cool Ray. Come on. Don't
um,
lie.
Paulo.
Don't lie.
Paulo, what would
Okay.
you choose?
Cool ray hands down. Like I don't need a third row seat. I like
Okay,
the
so
size
we've
of
nailed
Cool Ray.
it. We've basically nailed exactly who these people are for, right? Who these
What
cars
about
are for.
the Barcada car that you were talking about? This could be a Barcada
You can-
car, right?
They can bring their own car. I like my Cool Ray.
okay.
Whoa.
So the whole G50 Barcada thing is now out the window because he likes the Okay.
Change of priorities.
No one mentioned the Ascara. But yes,
okay,
oh.
here's
No one can
But me-
afford it.
It's not, no, you can't say that. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
say that.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
within the price range. You can't say that.
Yeah, yeah.
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 The
because-
monthly difference on these cars would be so tiny. It would make no difference.
yeah.
I would
Okay.
Yeah, which one would you
Oh.
choose?
Among
Ascara.
the three.
Ascara or
No, I
Well-
mean between the two.
I thought between
No,
the
between
two.
the
That's
three.
what
Ascara or Cool
Among
Ray.
the three. Yeah.
Cool
Still
Ray because I
Ray,
just
still
kind of liked it. Ascara because I did find it a bit, significantly more premium.
Mhm.
It is,
But I like the
it is.
size of the Ascara. I like the size of the Cool Ray. Actually, I
Yeah.
really do.
Actually, if Chris wants toys, it's the Ascara. If Chris
Oh, yeah.
wants his toys, and still practical, Ascara's really.
No, I actually think that the Geelys are positioned in a way that hits everyone in different stages of life. So you have the Cool Ray when you're young, okay, and then you have the
He's got a point.
Okavango. Yeah, you have the Okavango when your kids are tiny and they carry like 3 times more luggage than you, and talking about diapers and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. So
I can
when you're going out of town, you have the stroller, you have the diapers, you have like the change of clothes, you have 3 bags, all their books and toys, So that's when the Okavango comes in. When the kids are more grown up and you
Bitter
have more
much,
time to
Chris?
yourself,
That's when the
Ascara.
and
Wow.
and, and you're
Yeah, yeah.
getting along in the years, and you want comfort,
Chris wants to reach there.
and you don't have to lug around all of your kids' toys anymore wherever you go. Then the Scara makes perfect sense, right? So.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
It's
tone of
the
Chris's
3 levels
voice.
of a person's life right there.
all in one
Oh.
brand.
There is a
good
way I
point.
can actually lower your volume slowly so you disappear into a room. I gotta figure out how to do that.
I can feel a lot of energy from Chris there.
Yeah, all of a sudden, these damn strollers. Okay.
But
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's
that-
a good way to
yeah.
end. That's a good
Yeah.
ending note, actually.
Yeah.
That's a good ending note.
So there we are. We have messed around with the Okavango, which Paolo has managed to chirp the tires on a couple times, which was fun. We liked it. We enjoyed it. We're pronouncing Geely correctly, hopefully. So
Got it wrong.
there we go. We like it. We think it. There are things we liked. There are things we wanted more of. There are things we wished had happened. But that's the case with everything. Thank you very, very much once again for listening to us and watching us. This has been the Cars Casually Gang talking about the Geely Okavango, the new 7-seater, 3-row car from Geely, who's been who's been impressing us tremendously. This has been Paulo, the man of the hour. This has been Nick. This has been Chris. This has been G. Depends on how Nick says it. And I'm Carl. Thank you very, very much. Watch us. We're going to be on Mias if you are able to watch it. And we are on Spotify as we speak. So thank you very, very much, everyone. Hang out with us again next time.
Bye, guys.
Oh.
Bye.
Bye.